When you are ready, and we'll count in about 90 seconds or so. Okay.
This is Jeff. You want me to go ahead and start the recordings?
Yeah, Jeff, if you would start the recordings now.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me, this is the operator. Today's call is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Thank you.
All right, let's just do a double check, make sure everybody's there. Jan, you're good to start?
Yes, I'm good to go.
All right, Nico, you are ready to start?
I am ready.
And Valentina, you are ready to start?
Yes.
Yes, I'm ready.
Excellent. Hello to everybody. This is Brian Jackson, Victor Echo 6, Juliet Bravo Juliet in Airdrie, Alberta, Canada. I'll be your amateur radio moderator for today's event. Through the help of amateur radio volunteers and the crew on the International Space Station, we hope to soon establish ham radio contact with the ISS as it flies more than 400 kilometers above the Earth towards Belgium. This is all accomplished with ARIS, amateur radio on the International Space Station. The ISS currently is flying over the Atlantic Ocean and is on a southwest to northeast heading, whizzing along at around 28,000 kilometers an hour. This contact will be performed using the Amateur Radio Telebridge Network, a worldwide network of amateur radio ground stations that enables students to contact the ISS. What makes today's contact unique is the fact that all participants, all students are safely situated in their schools with distance to avoid personal contact in line with current COVID-19 protocols. The exception is Jan and his team at the ground station in Belgium, who are all following safety protocols. We call this a multi-point contact, and they've only been done a few times in recent months. Thanks to all of you for joining us today and staying safe during today's event in your own schools. ARIS is a consortium of ham radio volunteers from 9 nations that develop and operate the amateur radio station on board the International Space Station. Some members of ARIS are the American Radio Relay League, the Worldwide AMSAT Radio Amateur Satellite Corporations, the Canadian Space Agency, the European Space Agency, Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and the Russian Federal Space Agency. The amateur radio ground station that will establish contact with the ISS is ON4 ISS in Antwerp, Belgium, operated by Jan Poppelier, ON7UX. Thanks so much for helping us out today, Jan.
Okay, thank you.
We have about 5 minutes until contact time. Our contact for today is with Mark Vandehei, KG5GNP, who will be operating OR4 ISS on board the International Space Station. Mark will be talking with students at 2 schools, Windsor School and Liceo Industrial de Valdivia High School in Valdivia, Chile. This event is also being broadcast around the world via the internet through the ARIS YouTube channel. Many thanks to John and Steve in the USA for their work to make this broadcast possible. We've asked Valentina Ortiz Guzman to please briefly tell us about the 2 schools and the students taking part today. Go ahead, Valentina.
Okay, thanks. I'm very happy to say that this is the first ARIS contact in Chile, and it is the result of the effort between the Center for Scientific Studies, Windsor School, and Liceo Industrial School from Valdivia. And with this, we want to inspire Chilean students to follow radio communications, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. During the preparation for this contact, students and teachers have shared with amazing scientists that work on space exploration. They have participated in workshops related to space. They have learned how to decode slow scan TV signals sent by the ISS, and they have understood the importance of amateur radios in one of the most seismic countries in the world. So we are very pleased, and we truly hope this experience turns out to be a great inspiration to pursue STEM disciplines. Thank you.
Thank you, Valentina. Jan, before the contact begins, please tell us about the ON4ISS ham radio station, where you're located, and how you'd like to handle the conversation today. Go ahead.
Well, this amateur radio ground station that assists you today with a radio link to the International Space Station is located in Belgium and situated in the southern region near Antwerp in the town of Aartselaar. This amateur radio ground station is kept operational by the UBA section AAA. It stands for Antwerp Active Amateurs. And in the realization of this Irish Telebridge radio ground station are 6 volunteers direct involved. We use two-way radios, fully computer controlled for frequency control. Antenna tracking, both in elevation as in azimuth, is also computer controlled. So our antennas are already appointed in direction of approach, and the frequency is set. We expect to make contact when the International Space Station is over the Azores, the island group in the Atlantic Ocean. And we follow the International Space Station during 11 minutes, and we probably lose contact when the International Space Station is above the border between Ukraine and Russia. So when I start calling the International Space Station, I use the call sign Oscar Romeo 4 ISS, and I listen for their response. This is what you hear when they're not replying, so I have to try a few times before we establish contact. That's in short what we will do, Brian.
Thanks, Jan, and again, thank you for your work today to make this contact possible. We have got a little less than 2 minutes before we can start to call for the first time. Just a reminder to students that remember what we're doing on board the International Space Station. Even though it's been done hundreds and hundreds of times, it still is somewhat of an experiment. So we never can tell the results, either positive or negative, until the experiment is over. We'll wish everybody good luck today. Students, again, don't forget to say the word "over" at the end of your question. In about 90 seconds, the station should come up over Belgium. So, Jan, I'm going to turn it all over to you, and good luck to everybody.
Okay, so elevation at this moment is minus 5.2 degrees, and that will say the International Station is about 2,900 kilometers away, and it's under my horizon, so I cannot communicate with that. So we have to wait a few moments, but the time is ticking and it's moving fast. There's minus 4 degrees, and antenna is already adjusted in the appoint direction, so it's working fine at the moment. Range is 2,700 kilometers approximately. Elevation minus 3, and the time is. I will try a few times for calling, but it will go like it will happen. Okay. This is Oscar Romeo, Oscar November 4, India Sierra Sierra, calling Oscar Romeo 4 ISS for an Irish scale contact. How copy? Over. Oscar Romeo 4 ISS, this is ON4 ISS for an Irish scale contact. How copy? Over. Oscar Romeo 4 ISS, this is ON4 ISS for an Irish scale contact. How copy? Over.
Oscar November 4, India Sierra Sierra, this is Oscar Romeo 4, India Sierra Sierra, you're becoming clear. Over.
Okay, Oscar Romeo 4 ISS, ON4 ISS, we have you a little bit in the noise, but your signal will be better in your next transmission. So we have here students from schools of Valdivia in Chile. Are you ready for questions? Over.
I am looking forward to questions. Over.
Okay, school, go ahead.
Pregunta 1. This is Isaías. Can you see any human building from space? Over.
I can't see individual buildings, but I can definitely make out cities and roads in cities. Over.
Pregunta 2.
This is Fernanda Villagra. Have you found something out of the ordinary in space that surprised you? Over.
Nothing that I hadn't known existed, but certainly beautiful things like the northern and southern lights, and also seeing meteors burn up in the atmosphere. Over.
Pregunta 3.
This is Rodrigo. Has been there any Latin American astronaut at ISS? Over.
You know, I'm not certain about this, but I know Franklin Chang Diaz is a very experienced astronaut, but I'm not sure if he ever came to the space station. He is from Costa Rica. Over.
Pregunta 4.
This is Leticia. What strikes you about space, and what is something that you can currently see? Over.
The most striking thing for me about living in space is the freedom of movement and things that we can see. Glaciers, something that I love to see is mountains, the shadows from the mountains, and the glaciers and the streaks of things caught up in the glaciers. Over.
Pregunta 5.
This is Vicente. What do you like the most about being an astronaut? Over.
I love the people that I work with, as well as the fact that we do work that supports all of humanity. Over.
Pregunta 6.
This is Monica. Do you think it is possible that human beings will be able to overcome their feelings of isolation and loneliness in order to colonize another planet? Over.
I do believe that it's possible. I think humans have had to do that, certainly not over the great distances we're talking about in space, but humans certainly have had lots of exploration that involved isolation and loneliness. Over.
Pregunta 7.
This is Alan. What was your reaction the first time you were in space? Over.
I looked out the window and I said, wow, I was very impressed by the inky blackness of space in the background with a sunlit Earth in the foreground. Over.
Pregunta 8.
This is Leon. Has being in space changed your perception on how people live on Earth? If so, how? Over.
Yes, being in space, the atmosphere seems much thinner than when I lived in it all the time. So my perception is we need to take much more care of the atmosphere, which is the layer that we need to be able to live in. Over.
Pregunta 9.
This is Benjamin. What is the longest time an astronaut has been on the ISS? Over.
Scott Kelly, it was just short of a year, I think 344 days, roughly somewhere around there. Over.
Pregunta 10.
This is Fernanda Villagra. What motivated you to be an astronaut? Over.
The combination of mental and physical challenges, as well as the opportunity to serve. Over.
Pregunta 11.
This is Leticia. What should someone study to get the opportunity to go to space? Over.
Sciences and engineering. Right now, to be a U.S. astronaut, you actually have to get a master's degree. Over.
Pregunta 12. This is Isaías. How does fire move in space? Over.
Fortunately, not very easily. You need to have a combustion source, an oxygen, and up here, the first reaction we have is to shut off all the ventilation because that prevents the fire from moving. Over.
Pregunta 13.
This is Monica. We saw in the news that you cultivated greens in space. How did the salad taste? Over.
Considering that I don't get a lot of fresh food, it was the best salad I'd ever had in my entire life, and I mean that very honestly. Over.
Okay, students, give Mark a big thanks.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias. Gracias, Mark.
Gracias.
Really appreciate your time.
Okay, Mark, thank you for making time for this contact. This is Oscar November 4, India Sierra Sierra, off and clear with Oscar Romeo 4 ISS 73.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just shared a moment in history. Amateur radio station ON4 ISS in Antwerp, Belgium, operated by Jan Papoyer, ON7UX, contacted Mark Vanderhaeg, KG5GNP, aboard the International Space Station, speaking with students at the Windsor School and Liceo Industrial de Valdivia High School in Valdivia, Chile. Congratulations to all students involved. Give yourselves one more big hand. Now for the international volunteer team of ARIS, including radio amateur satellite corporations around the world, the American Radio Relay League, the CSA, ESA, JAXA, NASA, and Roscosmos. This is Brian Jackson sending my greetings to all of you in amateur radio terms, 7-3 from VE6JBJ. And thanks to everybody today. Jeff, you can stop the recording.